I remember seeing on video an Indian man bewildered and in tears because he could see the Himalayas for the first time in his life, because the smog had cleared for the first time in his life. Okay, that's an entry into the imaginal.
Thank you for that. In your piece, actually, you wrote a beautiful section, which I'd love actually to just quote a little here about this moment, what the promise might be. But you say, we are being offered an incredible opportunity to step away from cascading of tipping points that could send multiple Earth systems marching past the edge of no return. The virus has shown that in the face of danger and death, as a global community, we can instantaneously at that redirect our actions, expand our imagination, and make a way out of inconceivable paths. I can see our souls reaching down as we fall from the edge, offering to pull us back into life like the air returning into smog-strangled cities. This is where the new story begins. What is required of us is nothing short of becoming imaginal. And I love that piece, and I would love to approach that sense. I know that, again, that has been a theme in your work too for some time, right? The function of imaginals to be imaginal.
20 years. Yes.
Yeah. And I would love to see what has that come to mean for you, especially, again, this was written over a year and a half ago now, and how has that shown up for you, or in those that you see doing incredible things in this moment? What does it mean to be imaginal now in this time, in the face of the pandemic and, of course, the climate emergency?
Yeah. I mean, one thing that I feel COVID showed us very clearly and very starkly is that when we get out of the way, right, the earth begins to heal herself. And I think that's something that we should not lose sight of. I remember seeing on video an Indian man bewildered and in tears because he could see the Himalayas for the first time in his life, because the smog had cleared for the first time in his life. Okay, that's an entry into the imaginal. We could even measure our seismic activity, because humans have a seismic activity. It's not just Earth that has a seismic activity. We also have one, because for the first time since we got going, we stopped moving, and cars stopped, and trains stopped, and planes stopped. And those who track earthquakes could now read in their instruments our stillness. When we are forced to stop, the earth begins to heal herself. That's an imaginal thought. COVID also showed us that we are capable, like you said, and like I said in the essay, of transforming systems, both personal and systemic, so quickly, and respond to the immediate danger before us. What boggles my mind is that climate crisis is an even bigger danger than COVID. We're going to have 100 COVIDs if we don't redirect. You know what I mean? And it's not something we're willing to transform for. Instead of dancing with the opportunities that COVID presented us, particularly in those early months, we have rushed back into the delusion of normalcy. And I feel like this conversation, for example, is a space of imaginal. The efforts, the incredible efforts that people have made to gather, to have a different conversation, the Black Lives Matter movement finally, after so many years, exploding last year. I mean, many people think it like came out of nowhere. I'm like, I'm friends with Patrisse Cullors. She's one of my close friends. We've been pushing that narrative since 2013. We have a song called "We Rising Up." It's mad old, you know what I mean? But we're performing it all over universities, festivals, having conversations, having workshops. Why is Black life important? Essential, critical. What does it mean? What does it mean about colonization? And what does it mean about this triangulation of state violence, displacement, and environmental injustice, which is what colonization was and became globalization. And now we have this late stage capitalism in our hands, like, where's Black identity in that? Right? So all of a sudden we're like, oh shit, that's an imaginal thought, right? And it's like, what is there for us to do? Right? Is one of the questions. What is there for us to do? And I think actually the better question is, How are we to be? What is the etiquette of this time? What is the etiquette of this time? In times of urgency, we actually must slow down. They tell you that when you get on a plane, literally, right? So we can land with, be with, and acclimate to the cosmological changes occurring in our bodies, in our spirits, and our collective psyche. We are also being asked to surrender. And this is also very imaginal, like the imaginal cells are attacked by the immune cells of the caterpillar, vying for the life of the caterpillar. But the imaginal cells are in this other space, right? They're in a space of almost surrender, if you would, I think, personally, as a poet and as an artist and as a person of vision. That's what I think is happening for me, right? And there's, and I know in our human experience, we're being asked to surrender. There's a big difference between surrendering and giving up, though. And I'm not saying give up. The etymology of surrender is to make from above, to make from above. And I think there is something very true and beautiful in that. How do we make from above? How do we perspectivize ourselves within the cosmos?